Hi everyone. Before we begin, I want to make one thing very clear. Today's lecture is not about turning you into digital forensic investigators. You are records management students, not forensic lab officers. However, in the digital environment today, records management and computer forensics are no longer separate worlds. Let me ask you a question. When a digital record is questioned in court, who is responsible for its authenticity, integrity, and reliability? The answer is not only the forensic analyst. It starts much earlier, with how the record was created, stored, classified, retained, and protected. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to identify and evaluate new and emerging technologies that impact computer forensics. Traditionally, computer forensics focused on desktop computers, laptops, and internal organizational servers. Today, however, digital records are created and stored across a wide range of new and emerging technologies. These include cloud platforms, mobile devices, social media systems, Internet of Things (IoT) devices, artificial intelligence systems, and remote working technologies. The second objective is to analyse the potential challenges these technologies may present to forensic investigations. These challenges are not limited to technical difficulties. They also include legal, organisational, and records management issues. In many cases, the way digital records are created and managed can directly affect whether they can be used as reliable evidence. In today's digital society, crime is no longer confined to physical locations or traditional methods. As technology has become an essential part of everyday life, criminal activities have increasingly shifted into digital environments. To describe this intersection between technology and unlawful behaviour, various terms are commonly used, including computer crime, electronic crime, and cybercrime. These terms are often applied interchangeably in academic and professional discussions, and there is still no universal agreement on their precise definitions. Despite the lack of consensus on terminology, experts largely agree on one important reality. The use of electronic devices for criminal purposes has increased significantly and is now widespread. Computers, smartphones, networks, and online platforms are frequently exploited to commit offences such as fraud, identity theft, unauthorised access, data manipulation, and information theft. First, we will explore one of the challenges: cloud computing. As organisations increasingly move their data from local servers to cloud platforms, the way we manage, access, and investigate digital records is changing dramatically. Cloud computing offers many benefits, such as scalability, cost efficiency, and easy accessibility. But it also introduces new and complex challenges for investigators. According to Schubert et al., a cloud is a flexible computing platform where resources are dynamically allocated and shared among multiple users. It delivers services at different levels of detail, with measurable performance and guaranteed quality. While cloud computing offers convenience, scalability, and cost efficiency, it also introduces significant risks. These include data hijacking, accidental loss, and unauthorised leaks, which can compromise security and privacy. Such risks make organisations cautious about adopting cloud services. From a forensic perspective, these vulnerabilities create challenges in evidence collection, data preservation, and proving the authenticity of records stored in cloud environments. In Calm Before the Storm, Grispos, Storer, and Glisson examine how cloud computing fundamentally changes the environment in which digital forensic investigations occur. The authors argue that much of traditional digital forensic practice assumes direct control over IT assets, especially storage media. In cloud environments, this assumption no longer holds, and as a result, established forensic procedures may not be effective. The paper analyses how core forensic activities are affected when data and systems are hosted in the cloud, and identifies major challenges. In cloud environments, identifying whether an illicit event has occurred is difficult because there are no well-established forensic frameworks. Cloud systems are dynamic and virtualized, making it harder to detect suspicious activities using traditional forensic approaches. Most forensic tools are designed for local systems, not cloud platforms. As a result, investigators lack specialized tools that can effectively preserve evidence in virtual and distributed cloud environments. Besides, cloud data is stored across multiple virtual locations and may change rapidly. Preserving this data requires handling distributed and volatile storage, often using cloud services themselves, which raises concerns about evidence control. Maintaining a clear chain of custody is difficult because cloud infrastructure is controlled by third-party providers. Differences in legal standards across jurisdictions and proprietary technologies further complicate accountability and traceability. In cloud environments, investigators cannot realistically image all physical storage media. Partial imaging may be the only option, but this can introduce legal and evidentiary challenges. In addition, cloud systems operate across global data centers, resulting in evidence from multiple time zones. This makes timeline reconstruction difficult and increases the risk of misinterpreting events. Cloud data may be stored in different countries, each with its own legal requirements. Investigators often have limited access to physical media, making lawful evidence acquisition more complex. There is limited evaluation and certification of forensic tools for cloud environments. This raises concerns about the reliability and admissibility of evidence collected using cloud-based methods. Next, obtaining physical media from cloud providers is slow and resource-intensive. At the same time, cloud data is inherently volatile, making live acquisition risky but often necessary. In addition, traditional write-blocking techniques are difficult to apply in cloud environments. Without enforced persistence mechanisms, ensuring that data has not been altered becomes a major forensic challenge. Now we move to the next phase. During the examination phase, investigators analyze the preserved data using forensic software tools. However, in cloud environments, there is a lack of tested and certified tools specifically designed for cloud infrastructures. This raises concerns about the accuracy, reliability, and legal admissibility of the examination results. Recovering deleted data in the cloud is particularly challenging due to strict privacy regulations and access control mechanisms enforced by cloud service providers. Even when data is deleted, investigators may be legally or technically restricted from accessing residual information, limiting forensic recovery efforts. In cloud environments, a single incident may span multiple platforms, services, and virtual machines. This makes it difficult to trace user activities and reconstruct events accurately, as evidence is fragmented across different cloud components. As for presentation phase, presenting cloud forensic evidence requires integrating data from multiple sources, such as logs, virtual machines, and third-party services. Proper documentation becomes complex, especially when ensuring consistency, completeness, and authenticity across diverse cloud records. One of the final challenges arises during testimony. where forensic experts must explain complex cloud technologies in a way that is understandable to judges or juries. The abstract and virtual nature of cloud systems makes it difficult to clearly communicate how evidence was collected and analysed. Cloud computing fundamentally changes how digital evidence is created, stored, and accessed. Unlike traditional systems, cloud environments are distributed, virtualized, and controlled by third-party providers, which introduces challenges at every forensic phase, from identification and preservation to examination and presentation.
Now that we have examined the forensic challenges associated with cloud computing, we will move on to the next emerging challenge in digital forensics, which is triage/volume of data. One of the most serious challenges in digital forensics today is the exponential growth of data that must be analyzed. Improvements in storage technology mean that even a single laptop or smartphone can contain terabytes of data, while cloud services such as Google Drive, Microsoft 365, or iCloud store years of emails, documents, photos, and activity logs. In modern investigations, it is also common for multiple devices to be seized from one suspect, including smartphones, laptops, tablets, external hard drives, and cloud accounts. For example, a financial fraud case may involve analyzing email records, spreadsheets, messaging apps, and transaction logs stored across several platforms. This massive volume of data significantly slows down forensic analysis. Investigators must sift through large amounts of irrelevant or duplicated information to identify evidential material. As a result, forensic laboratories experience long backlogs where digital evidence may wait months or even years before analysis begins. From a records management perspective, poor data organization, lack of retention policies, and uncontrolled data duplication further worsen the problem. Without proper records classification and lifecycle management, investigators face unnecessary delays, increasing costs, and potentially impacting the timeliness of justice. Another major challenge in digital forensics is the growing number of digital devices being submitted to forensic laboratories. This has been a concern for many years, as highlighted by Gogolin in 2010 and Parsonage in 2009, because it directly causes delays in forensic processing and investigations. Today, this problem has become even more serious. Storage technology has improved rapidly, and digital devices are now cheaper, more powerful, and used in almost every aspect of daily life. As a result, investigations often involve extremely large volumes of data, sometimes reaching several terabytes for a single case. There are three main reasons for this data explosion. First, more devices are being seized per case. In the past, investigators might have examined just one desktop computer. Now, it is common to seize a smartphone, a laptop, a tablet, external hard drives, and access to cloud accounts from a single suspect. Each device adds another layer of data that must be processed and analyzed. Second, digital evidence is now present in almost every type of case. Whether it is fraud, harassment, corruption, or even traditional crimes, digital records such as messages, emails, photos, location data, and transaction logs are almost always involved. Many investigators observe that cases without any digital evidence are becoming increasingly rare. Third, the amount of data stored on each device has grown significantly. High-resolution images and videos, social media content, application data, and automatic cloud backups quickly consume storage space. Even an ordinary smartphone can contain hundreds of thousands of files. When all of this data enters forensic laboratories, it creates long backlogs. Investigators must spend considerable time filtering irrelevant information before identifying evidential material. Without effective prioritization, automation, and good records management practices, evidence can sit unexamined for months or even years. This not only strains forensic resources, but also delays justice and affects the overall efficiency of the legal system. Beyond technical and data volume challenges, digital forensics also faces significant legal challenges. These legal issues often determine whether digital evidence can be collected, analyzed, and ultimately accepted in court. Digital forensics is fundamentally concerned with collecting, analyzing, and presenting digital evidence within a legal context. Because this evidence is intended for use in court, it is essential that all forensic methods comply with legal standards to ensure the evidence is admissible and credible. However, digital information does not respect national borders. Data can move across countries instantly through the internet, cloud services, and online platforms. This creates complex legal challenges when an investigation involves multiple jurisdictions. As a result, digital forensic investigators must carefully navigate different legal systems, laws, and regulations. They need to ensure that evidence is collected lawfully, privacy rights are respected, and international legal requirements are met, so that the digital evidence remains valid, reliable, and legally sound in court. Legal issues in digital forensics are about making sure digital evidence is collected and analyzed in a way that is acceptable in court. Investigators must respect people's privacy by getting proper permission before accessing data, and they need to keep a clear record of how evidence is handled to prevent any tampering. They also face challenges when data is stored in other countries, which may require legal agreements to access. Other important concerns include knowing who owns the data, handling encrypted information correctly, and being able to explain findings clearly in court. Following rules about how long data is kept and when it is destroyed is also important. Finally, forensic practitioners must stay updated on new technologies and laws to carry out investigations effectively and legally. A big challenge in digital forensics is the fast growth of digital crime. As technology improves, criminals find new ways to hack systems, steal data, or commit fraud online. This makes investigations harder because attackers use tools to hide their tracks. The growth of digital crime is a significant challenge for digital forensics in Malaysia. According to Cybersecurity Malaysia, CSM, the country reported 4,741 cases of cyber threats last year, and as of February 2023, 456 fraud cases had already been recorded. These numbers show that cybercrime is increasing rapidly, making it more difficult for investigators to keep up. Criminals are constantly using new techniques to hide their activities, so forensic professionals must stay updated with the latest tools, skills, and methods to effectively investigate and secure digital evidence. The rise of cybercrime can be attributed to several key factors. The widespread use of the internet and connected devices has created more opportunities for criminals to exploit vulnerabilities. Additionally, the anonymity provided by online activities allows cybercriminals to operate with little fear of being caught. Financial gain is also a major motivator, as many see cyber attacks as a profitable way to steal money, commit fraud, or carry out other illicit activities. The rise of cybercrime is further fueled by the availability of sophisticated tools and techniques, which make attacks easier to carry out. The global nature of the internet allows criminals to target victims anywhere in the world, while many individuals and organizations lack sufficient awareness of cybersecurity, leaving them vulnerable. Poorly secured systems and frequent data breaches worsen the problem, and some cybercrimes are driven by political or ideological motives, adding complexity to investigations. Another major challenge in digital forensics is the lack of resources. One of the major challenges in digital forensics is the lack of resources, which affects multiple aspects of investigations. First, there is a shortage of skilled professionals trained in digital forensic techniques and tools. Cybercrime is becoming increasingly sophisticated, and investigating it requires expertise in areas such as malware analysis, network forensics, and cloud computing. Without enough qualified personnel, organizations struggle to keep up with the growing number of cases. Second, many forensic laboratories face limited funding and inadequate equipment. High-quality forensic tools, software, and hardware can be expensive, and without sufficient investment, laboratories may be unable to process evidence quickly or accurately. This can result in delays in investigations or even the loss of crucial evidence. Third, the rapid evolution of technology means that new types of digital evidence, such as data from IoT devices, mobile applications, or cloud platforms, require continual updates to tools and skills. This constant need for training and technological upgrades can strain already limited resources. Finally, legal and regulatory frameworks may not fully support forensic operations. For instance, laws may lag behind emerging technologies, making it difficult to access certain types of evidence or to follow proper procedures in cross-border cases. Combined with resource limitations, these gaps can complicate investigations and reduce the effectiveness of digital forensic efforts. In short, the lack of resources in personnel, funding, technology, and legal support creates significant obstacles that make it harder for forensic investigators to respond effectively to the increasing volume and complexity of digital crimes. Addressing the resource challenges in digital forensics requires a multifaceted approach. Organizations need to invest more in training to develop skilled professionals who can handle complex cyber investigations. Adequate funding must also be allocated to upgrade forensic tools, software, and laboratory infrastructure to keep pace with emerging technologies and threats. Additionally, legal and regulatory frameworks should be strengthened and updated to better support forensic efforts, ensuring that investigators can access and handle digital evidence efficiently and in compliance with the law. Together, these measures can help overcome resource limitations and improve the effectiveness of digital forensic investigations.
One big challenge in digital forensics is cross-border cooperation. Cybercrimes often involve criminals, servers, or data in different countries, which makes it harder to investigate. Laws and regulations are different in each country, so getting access to evidence can take a long time. While international agreements like mutual legal assistance treaties, MLATs, help, the process is often slow and complicated. This can delay investigations and make it harder to catch cybercriminals quickly. Cross-border cooperation is one of the biggest challenges in digital forensics because cybercrimes often involve multiple countries. When digital evidence, such as data from a cloud server or emails, is stored in another country, legal jurisdiction becomes an issue. Investigators cannot simply access the data as if it were local. Each country has its own laws regarding data collection, privacy, and sharing, and these laws may conflict with each other. For example, what is legal in one country may be prohibited in another. This makes it difficult to gather and preserve evidence quickly and lawfully. To overcome these challenges, investigators often rely on international agreements like mutual legal assistance treaties, MLATs, but the process is usually slow and involves bureaucratic procedures. As a result, cross-border cooperation can delay investigations and make it harder to prosecute cybercriminals effectively. In addition to legal and jurisdictional challenges, language barriers and cultural differences can make cross-border cooperation in digital forensics even more difficult. Effective communication and collaboration between international law enforcement agencies and forensic experts may be hindered when there are differences in language or working practices. Furthermore, differences in forensic standards and procedures among countries can lead to inconsistencies in how digital evidence is collected, preserved, and interpreted. These variations can complicate investigations, slow down the sharing of evidence, and potentially affect the credibility of the findings in court. The challenges of cross-border investigations show that international cooperation is crucial in digital forensics. Since cybercrimes often involve multiple countries, investigators need clear rules and agreements to work effectively. Mutual legal assistance treaties, MLATs, are one example of such agreements, allowing authorities in different countries to request and share evidence legally. Standardized procedures for collecting, preserving, and transferring digital evidence are also important to ensure consistency and maintain its credibility in court. By improving international protocols and frameworks, forensic experts and law enforcement agencies can collaborate more efficiently, reduce delays, and strengthen the chances of successfully investigating and prosecuting cybercriminals across borders. A significant challenge in digital forensics is the rise of new applications and technologies, especially the Internet of Things, IoT. The Internet of Things, IoT, introduces new security challenges because IoT devices collect, store, and transmit large amounts of data. According to Atamley and Martin, 2014, the main sources of threats in IoT can be grouped into 4 categories. Mischievous users. These are legitimate users of IoT devices who exploit vulnerabilities to access confidential information or use restricted functions in ways they are not authorized to. For example, someone might manipulate a smart home system to gain access to security camera feeds. Immoral manufacturers. Some manufacturers may misuse IoT technology by collecting user data without consent or selling it to third parties. This violates privacy and can expose sensitive information to unauthorized entities. External attackers. These are hackers or unauthorized individuals who attempt to gain access to IoT devices or networks for malicious purposes, such as stealing data, disrupting operations, or controlling devices remotely. Bad programming. Vulnerabilities can also arise from developers who write insecure code or insert malicious software into IoT applications. Poor coding practices, lack of security testing, or deliberate inclusion of harmful code can make IoT devices easy targets for exploitation. Cyber attacks on IoT devices can take several forms, each posing unique risks to security and functionality. Node tampering compromise. This occurs when an attacker physically or remotely modifies an IoT device to steal sensitive information or misuse its software and hardware. For example, someone could alter a smart thermostat to gain access to network data. Denial of service (DoS). In this type of attack, an attacker disrupts the device's normal operation or its ability to communicate with other devices. For instance, jamming wireless signals can prevent IoT devices from sending or receiving data, effectively rendering them useless. Spoofing. Here, attackers use stolen credentials or fake identities to access restricted services or devices. This allows them to bypass security controls and manipulate the device or its data without authorization. These types of attacks demonstrate that IoT devices are vulnerable to both technical exploitation and misuse of access privileges, making robust security measures essential. IoT devices are also vulnerable to several other types of cyber attacks. Privacy breach. Attackers can collect sensitive personal data from IoT devices by analyzing metadata or monitoring user activities. For example, data from a fitness tracker or smart home camera could be misused to learn personal habits. Buffer overflow. This occurs when an attacker sends more data to a device's memory buffer than it can handle, causing the device to crash or giving the attacker control over it. This can disrupt operations or allow unauthorized access. SQL injection. In this attack, the attacker inserts malicious code into an application that interacts with a database, allowing them to manipulate or steal data and exploit security weaknesses in IoT systems. These attacks show that IoT devices face threats from both data exploitation and technical vulnerabilities, making strong security practices critical. Another significant challenge in digital forensics is the lack of new and specialized forensic tools to handle emerging technologies and complex digital evidence. The impact flowchart presented by Dimp and Kojda, 2017, illustrates the cascading consequences of using unreliable digital forensic tools. It begins with the selection or use of tools that are not properly tested or validated, which produces unreliable or inaccurate digital evidence. This unreliable evidence then affects legal and investigative outcomes, potentially leading to wrongful convictions, dismissed cases, or eroded trust in forensic institutions. The flowchart further shows that failed investigations and incorrect evidence contribute to increased cybercrime, wasted investigative resources, and longer case backlogs. Beyond immediate investigative effects, these failures have broader economic and societal consequences, including direct financial losses, increased defense costs, reputational damage, and gains retained by criminals who evade justice. DIMP and COJDA also emphasize the importance of quantifying these effects through a Bayesian network, linking variables such as crime rates, unresolved cases, and economic losses to demonstrate how small failures in forensic tools can escalate into significant, measurable impacts. Overall, the flowchart underscores that tool reliability is critical in maintaining evidence integrity, ensuring just legal outcomes, and minimizing economic and social costs. Espionage is the secret collection of sensitive information by individuals, organizations, or foreign states. Today, it includes cyber espionage, insider threats, and advanced persistent threats, targeting data, trade secrets, or national security. Its covert nature and sophisticated methods make detection and attribution difficult, creating major challenges for organizations and governments in protecting information and responding effectively. Cyberespionage and intelligence involve unauthorized access to computers and digital devices to steal, manipulate, or damage information using hacking or other covert methods. This poses serious risks to critical sectors such as the military, energy, healthcare, and politics. Attackers may steal institutional databases, compromise bank accounts and communication systems, or disrupt a nation's energy infrastructure to gather sensitive data. Therefore, robust security measures are essential to protect digital information. Nonetheless, even with strong defenses, attackers can exploit system vulnerabilities or human errors, highlighting the persistent challenges in safeguarding digital assets. Understanding the cyber espionage lifecycle is crucial because it helps defenders anticipate and disrupt attacks at each stage, not just after data theft occurs. By recognizing patterns from reconnaissance through exploitation and exfiltration, security teams can deploy targeted controls, monitoring, and response strategies to stop attackers earlier in the process. When these challenges are combined, their overall impact on digital investigations can be severe. Limited expertise among personnel, high workloads, and insufficient resources lead to significant backlogs in processing digital evidence, sometimes causing delays of months or even years. The problem is further compounded by the increasing complexity of cases, as digital evidence now comes from diverse and non-traditional sources such as cloud platforms, mobile devices, and Internet of Things, IoT, systems. Additionally, evolving cyber threats like espionage, malware attacks, and sophisticated cybercrimes put further strain on investigators, requiring specialized skills and tools to analyze and secure data effectively. If these issues are not addressed, the backlog and delays will continue to grow, reducing the efficiency and reliability of investigations, undermining legal processes, and potentially allowing criminals to exploit gaps in the system. This highlights the urgent need for investment in advanced forensic tools, continuous training for personnel, and streamlined procedures to manage and process digital evidence more effectively, ensuring that justice can be delivered